Cool. And awesome. So yeah, sweet. Thank you for making the time to do this yet again. I cannot believe that we're
I know.
doing a second update on this thing, but it's so topical right now. It's so like important to the community and to the episode that we talked about, and the content
I
we talked about.
I mean, debatably, we've had as many updates as D&D has actually put out for this. So,
It's very true. That's very true. So yes, last time we talked about how they were talking about doing this new version that was going to put a lot of sort of barricades in place, and mess
mhm.
up a lot of different parts of the community. What has happened since then?
Well, the big news, and because I want to preface this, they say that they are not going to move forward with an update to the open game license. That 1.0A will stand. It will stay. It will become irrevocable. No one will touch that. There's no actual guarantee of that. That is just what they're saying right now. That could change. The actual big thing coming out of this is that they've moved the entire DD 5.1 source reference document into the Creative Commons, which is a license that allows everyone to use it on equal footing. I've only skimmed through to check what's all in there, but it is much more expansive than what they'd originally been talking about. You know, it includes races and classes and spells, things that they originally were saying were wholly D&D. Now, for the meme lords out there, this included a page about mythical versions of Norse and Egyptian Celtic gods. So people were already kind of poking fun at that sort of legal claimants that they were trying to make. But moving it all under Creative Commons really does free up the TTRPG space to feel safer, at least when going forward and making their stuff without having to worry about anything being changed on them suddenly. And it should be the case. It's really a fingers crossed thing.
Fingers
It
crossed.
should be the case that we can just continue to use the current open game license for ever, with any luck. Uh,
Right.
it it's just they've decided to make this power move right before the D&D movie was coming out, which they kind of realized was a bad call if they're going to upset their entire fan base before their big movie that they want to succeed goes. And then you also have Baldur's Gate 3 that's finally releasing this year, which is going to be another big release for them. And that's why I think we're safe for this year. I don't know if we're really safe forever.
Or maybe 5e might be off their radar for now because they have like
Mhm.
one, they have one D&D coming soon.
And that
So
is why, yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. So, give up 5e. Here you go. You guys love this one, but here's this new one. And I don't know, like, none of that, none of the basically, they came out and said, "We hear you. We'll back off." And here's fifth edition as a consolation like we feel bad. Here's fifth
Yeah.
edition, um, and that's okay. Like I mean, hey, I'll take it. Now we have fifth edition,
Mhm.
but it where was that going? Lost my train of thought.
They might try to introduce things into 1 D&D to radically shift the way that we play to a point where there's no playing D&D without using stuff from that. I think that really will be a goal of theirs, because if they do introduce a new licensing method with D&D 1, D&D 60, whatever we're
Mhm.
actually gonna settle on calling it, that could be a major sticking point for many people moving forward who are like, well, I wanted to do something, but it's too close to what they have with 1 D&D, and now I can't, otherwise they're going to come after me because it's under a different license, and anything published with that material has to be under that license. And that's really the power that they have as a company, is that they can still decide to put something in place, because I don't expect D&D 1 to be out until the end of this year at the earliest, if not into 2024, just through the playtesting phases
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
dealing with the backlash that they're hanging their hat on right now,
Yeah.
really, by trying to come back with this.
Yeah. 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 It's It's wild. It's just an absolute roller coaster. I will say that at no point did I, as a consumer, expect them to back down from this. I fully expected them to ride that one into the grave, and so when I woke up to that, tweet from Wizards of the Coast, I was like, okay, that is something. That is something. But I think what's
Mhm.
important to note is that D&D as a whole was, has been thrust into the limelight in the past like 20 years. It's been a game much longer than that, but it's been massively gaining in popularity in the
Mhm.
past 20 years. And when this occurred, there were I mean, using Pathfinder for example, they sold out of like almost a year of
Yeah,
stock in 2 week for their source books, their core
which
rule
is
set.
incredible.
Absolutely incredible for them. That's awesome. Go them. So what they've done and what many other third party role playing games have done is increase the stock purchases for this year to account for people switching off of D&D for this thing. Because
Mhm.
many people said that they were never going back to D&D again. Um, that felt
And as a
always
consumer,
caveated if this goes through, I won't go back to D&D again. But
yes.
as this comes through, like I think it's still important to remember that like they did attempt to pull this. Like it doesn't take now D&D off my table for the, as much as it was going to, but
Mhm.
it does definitely has solidified my like drive to explore many other role-playing games.
And I think that is what a lot of people are experiencing right now is they won't feel guilt if they go and play D&D with their friends now. It's not like, "Oh, I'm doing this, but, by doing so I'm promoting something that is negative for not just me, but for my community." It's much more that, okay, well, if people decide to play that, that's fine. That's what they know. That's okay. I just, I've had my trust broken with them. I can't go back to being a consumer from that company without seeing actual like long-term reparations and safety steps put into place. Pathfinder, Piezo, Chaosium, Green Ronin, they're all still going forward with the Orc license instead because they realize that this needs to be a safety net that is included. That way this can't be pulled again to the same degree. That way, the market itself has those fallbacks to go back onto so that way the consumers can feel safer about supporting people without worrying about them suddenly having their license pulled or something crazy like that. And I think none of us expected this to happen right now. I know that a lot of older D&D players will tell you when Hasbro acquired Wizards of the Coast, they always kind of thought this sort of thing would happen. I've had
Yeah.
a chance to talk to my dad about this in between our talks, and that was definitely something he pushed with the discussion was like that's just how Hasbro is. That's how they are as a company, and this is something that he's been expecting for over a decade, really.
Yeah, I no, I mean, that tracks. It wasn't always Hasbro's, and Hasbro is just like a massive, multi-million dollar corporation. So like anything they can do to continue doing that, as we've seen with historical evidence of corporations like that, they will do. So this
Mhm.
isn't entirely shocking that they did this. I think I'm more shocked that they took it back for now. That's what I'm more surprised
Honestly, yeah.
about.
No,
Um,
like the Creative Commons is a huge victory on everyone who was pushing for it. Like the one D&D message, the open D&D message, like all of that it brought this out is honestly incredible because yeah, it is 403 pages that has gone into the Creative Commons license.
mhm.
I because I do have it pulled up. I don't know. They did say they were going to try and make it more accessible sooner than later, but I have not gone through to check that. I'm pretty sure it is just the complete 5e player's handbook.
That's what
Because
it. That's what I thought it
and
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
items, artifacts, stat blocks for monsters. There's a lot in here, and I think including the planescape, which is important for me because I was trying to figure out what I was going to rename the whole planescape to. Uh, but yeah, I think a lot of creators, obviously, they were very afraid what they were going to do with this because whether you're just content creator who streams, does live streams playing with your group, you normally support third party publishers with that. It's not something where you go straight through D&D every time. Sure, you may play a D&D campaign, but inevitably, you've got artists commissioning or the artist commission that you're putting out. You've got other additional rule sets that you're using, and anything else that your players decide to bring to the table. And so there's definitely a sense of serenity that I think everyone's trying to accept, because this has been a long and grueling process of just trying to keep the momentum going, trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. D&D Shorts has put out a phenomenal amount of information
Mhm.
to broadcast and keep people on the same page with what they're hearing from people inside the company who are trying to get that information out to the public without jeopardizing their jobs. Like, there's just been so much emotional just charged emotions that have
Mhm.
gone into this that I think we all want to celebrate, and I think that this is the time to celebrate. It's just, if you're a cynic, in the back of your head that this isn't the end.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to be an optimist, when it comes to capital, when it comes to how capital operates, that they're the ones who want to write the history of it, which we've already seen during these arguments. The whole idea that it was a draft that got released, which again we talked about in our last update, how that was just flatly not true.
Yeah.
Um, and that it's just hard to go back. I think that's how a lot of people feel right now. Is it's hard to go back to the golden days, so to speak,
I mean,
before they tried to pull this.
I'm just not as. Yeah, I mean it's always hard to go back when you have your trust broken, and it's wild that they're having this conversation about a tabletop role-playing game, because this, like, it's like such a deeper conversation in many other aspects, but it applies here that, like, it doesn't like feel the same after your trust has been broken. Even like earning it back, the relationship is on a new level, and this has done just that. Like, basically what it's caused for, like you said, like we have the other podcast as well, and it has caused
Mhm.
basically all plans for D&D based content to be uh scrapped, save the like the one campaign in D&D that does fit into an exploratory look into many role-playing games, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It makes sense to include it, I think, in those group in that group for us. But like I had been planning another D&D campaign post that one, because I uh just have like good nostalgic feelings about it, and I kind of like enjoy playing it. And so I had been planning one, but that has been scrapped, and I've already been like enough thought into what is coming next rather than that idea, that I think I'm just
Mhm.
stronger for it because I put more thought into it now. Like, it just it feels like a betrayal almost, and it's just sort of like, we can be friends, but we're not really like together anymore, D&D.
Don't call me. Give me like a month at least. Then maybe send a text. We can get some coffee.
I
I'll have
might
some
pirate
pleasant
your
thoughts.
movie. Don't expect me to come see it in the
That's
theaters.
still a good possibility. Yeah. Uh,
But hey, I'll miss you
yeah.
by then. Give us some time.
Honestly, like that is what it's gonna be. Is the distance will make the heart grow fonder, because the heart is not fond at all right now. Um, And when you go back to it, you will still enjoy playing it because you enjoy the concepts of tabletop RPGs and the specific mythos that D&D has around it. I'm still rereading my old War of the Spider Queen books right now. That this all happening has not diminished any of that for me. If anything, while reading that, I'm just like, man, I hate this so much. I love these books. I've loved this lore for so long, and the only reason I'm upset with it is because of the capital overlords who are trying to make a buck off of us. Like that's what it comes down to. I think for a majority of tabletop RPG players, they already go into this to trying to escape the capitalist hellscape that we all endure on a daily basis. So to have it thrust into it so heavily because of what's going on in the real world, it just kind of taints the escapism to a good degree.
Mm-hmm.
And finding other systems who want to support and want to grow the community because they actually care about the community and not just the dollars coming from them. That is a big factor of it, but it will start to relax. Once we're not all on edge because we think we are being attacked, we can actually go back to just enjoying what we do instead of being stuck in that moral quandary of I want to play this, but if I play this, am I supporting something bad? Which you can you'll see with other games already. I know there's the Hogwarts Legacy game coming out. I'm never going to play that. That is completely off the table for me because it gives money to J.K. Rowling's, and I've seen what she does with that money, and I've seen who she is, and I can't support that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with what
Yeah.
they have walked back from the updated 1.1 that was going to steal people's money and IPs and so much terrible
What
stuff.
a wild thing to pitch. Like, hey, we probably won't get this through a starting place though, right? Everyone's got to start somewhere. And you're like, what the fuck? That's why we're so mad, is because that's like not even a starting place for progress. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, seriously. It was mind-blowingly stupid what they tried to throw out there. And I always find it funny when, so the company knows that their people meticulously read through the books to figure out what's rules as written versus rules as intended. And yet they don't expect us to do the same thing when they try to upset the status quo. Like, who did they think they were pulling this over on? That's my question. Who did they think wasn't gonna read this and just go, okay, yeah, I'll accept that? Because no business worth their salt.
This is the rule
That
reading. This is the rule reading community. What are you talking about?
literally.
We love crunching the numbers on it.
You gave me a 400-page book to start with. You didn't expect me to read the 15-page license you put out?
uh Yeah, I don't know. I think overall I feel like I am in a better place with role-playing games. I'm always going to miss the nostalgia of the like total grasp I think that D&D kind of had on my heart for role-playing games, but I am so excited like every time I get deeper into learning about a different role-playing game and the setting and the moral and the drive and the roles and the mechanics. I just get so much more excited and thinking like, oh, how can I use that for my machinations? And it's yeah, I think overall it's inspired me in a way that is going to be better for me creating stories in these places, because I can still like I can make it high fantasy. I can use elves all I want. I can, do these things, but now we have different mechanics. Sort of like I've ripped Dungeon World into space. Like we just play where we want and use the mechanics that give us the most joy.
Absolutely. And I think that's always been the case with D&D. They just don't always realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is how we got stuff, like I'm even losing the name for it. I'm just thinking Starfinder because that's what Paizo did was, Pathfinder in space. But that's always been the case. Is people just go, "Oh, well, I really like this, but I want it to do that. I'm gonna make it that."
I'm gonna make it do
And
that.
we absolutely can still do this. I think a lot of people have just been inspired, like yourself, like myself, to go out and find other systems, to get new ideas and how we want to engage with it. And I think one of the fun parts for me with looking at new systems, going like, oh my God, I've been making something similar to that. I can't believe someone's already executed this. I like how they've done it. Let me try it with that first. Let me see if I still want to tweak it back to what I was doing with it. And that just little rules exploration is a ton of fun for the GMs. I know for some players it can be a little bit harder just because they may not be as book oriented.
Hmm.
And that is always something that you have to look at as a GM, is when you're like, okay, I'm reinventing the wheel here. Who's going to read it though? And as long as you can, bring things to them succinctly, you can give them the resources and help them through it and be able to, remind them as everyone's learning it together, then it's not a problem. And that's what this has brought more than anything. Just new tools to the table,
New
new
tools to the
places to
table.
go and find joy. And it's what I'm excited for this next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for that as well. I have so many different like RPG books now on the stack that I'm like gonna start cracking open and digging through. I read the like foreword on Blades in the Dark and got so friggin' excited. I was like, "Ooh, this is awesome. The things that they're gonna be able to do with this." So like I'm already like over the moon with just like new ideas. It's not even really like the negative of the loss. It's just like positive of what's in front of me now. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that is really all we need here on this tertiary update of our episode. It
If we have to do another one of these, I will be shocked.
if they, I mean, who knows? If they want to pull some wild rabbit out of the hat, it might be worth it in the future. We can do one like 6 months down the line when they're like, "Haha, we tricked you. We didn't include irrevocable or whatever." Uh,
I really hope not.
Right. They're like, "Oh no,
Uh,
we misspelled creative. It's not the Creative Commons. It belongs to us still, idiots." And we're like, "Oh, cool." Ha, ha, ha."
no,
Yeah,
great, yeah.
we can update that whenever, they pull that, but I think this is good for now. I appreciate you making all the
Okay.
time to come on before your trip. Um,
Thank you. I do like being here. I always enjoy talking with you, Em.
Absolutely. Lovely, lovely. Enjoy your trip. Be safe. Be safe. And
Thank you.
I'll send you the stuff I talked to you about today, and then also anything I make from these.
Absolutely. Just, don't cut off any more of your fingers before I see you again.
I know. It's like gonna be a different shape, the end of my finger now.
Mm,
It's no good.
hope, yeah, hopefully nothing too bad.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you next time, man.
All right. Bye, Em.
Bye. As for everyone else, thanks, y'all. This is going to be cut right into the update. We don't really need to see much of this, right? Thanks for joining, y'all. That's really all that there is to it. You want to see my desktop? That's kind of what's going on with my desktop. You can see all my little icons and stuff.